to our first segment of Third and Out Radio. I'm Nate Cannon in New Orleans, and joining me is my associate, Timmy Cannon in Houston. Timmy, how you doing?
Hey, Nate, I'm doing all right. Glad we could finally do this. So should be fun. Good way to end the week.
Yeah, it's been a while since Third and Out has done anything really. I think the last time Third and Out had a pregame show was in 2015. Of course, with James Albano and his associate David Albano, and what a spectacular performance that was, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, I mean that'll probably go down in the history books as one of the great pregame shows, known in all of football. I'm glad we can be taking on the name Third and Out for this radio show, and I hope we can do them justice and hopefully not. Tarnish the good name of Third and Out.
Well, speaking of doing justice, I don't know. There were a few questionable broadcast moments in that episode, but we don't need to get into that right now.
Well, we don't we don't want to get too nitpicky.
Right, of course. So before we get into today's show, let me just break it down for all the listeners out there. Really, I think this is something to be tremendously excited about. We're going to have all kinds of exclusive interviews with relatives, non-relatives, Hall of Famers, people who have taken part in the Cranberry Bowl from all the way back in the day. We're going to talk marquee players. We'll talk the draft. We'll talk the teams as soon as those are all figured out and settled. And really, we'll talk about any news from around the league that will affect the Cranberry Bowl, particularly the Cranberry Bowl 2021. But, as that comes and goes, then we'll have to focus on next year. So without further ado, Timmy with the news.
Hey, thanks, Nate. First really big bit of news that we got is a big move, as you know, Catherine Albano moving to Scotland. I think that she's going to be missed around the league. But it's definitely something everyone needs to be aware of because it's a big move.
And listen, I don't know if you know, but Catherine has a book, and I must say the book is fantastic. It's a fantastic setting, really worth the read. I encourage all the listeners to reach out to Catherine and see if you can get a copy of her manuscript.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's really exciting for her. But I know she'll be missed back here in the States. So. Definitely everyone, keep her in mind as we go through the season. Hopefully we'll see her back before too long. But the second bit of news, John Albano, following in his brother's footsteps, just starting law school. And from what I've heard in my brief conversations with John, it's taken up quite a bit of his time. So that might affect his training and things like that.
Well, John is one of those players that... He has a twin brother, James, and we all know and love James. But despite being twins with James, it's usually his brother David that he's finishing each other's
sentences.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, so John's following in David's footsteps. So I guess not only is he finishing sentences, but he's also currently pursuing,
carrying the torch, finishing legacies, stuff like that.
Exactly.
Really exciting stuff.
Exactly. And then one other, big event coming up, which could affect certain players in the league and certain relatives, is the wedding of Olivia.
Cousin Olivia, that is. Cousin Olivia.
Sorry. I apologize for people who aren't so friendly with her. The formal version of her name is Cousin Olivia, but I know that's going to likely affect some family members and could potentially cut into their training time too. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out for everyone.
Yeah, and I tell you what, that really is exciting times. We just recently welcomed Cousin Olivia, that is, into the family. And we haven't yet seen her debut in the Cranberry Bowl. We're hoping maybe we'll see her this year, but you never know. This is a big moment for her, and we wish her all the best.
Yeah, it is good for them too. I'm happy to see them getting married. But inevitably there will be some sort of effect on the league. Hopefully, we'll be able to see Olivia at the Cranberry Bowl. But if not, we're still happy for her. So good for them, like you said.
Timmy with the news. Today's show is sponsored by Skippo. Now, I don't know if you've ever felt the urge to lose in a game, a friendly but competitive game. But if you ever have had that urge, all you got to do is visit Grandma at her house any day, anytime. I'm sure she would love to beat you in a nice, friendly, competitive, friendly game of Skippo. There's really not too much you can do, honestly. Skippo is a wonderful game for all ages, of course, provided that you are trying to lose. And of course, you only really lose when you play with Grandma. You have a shot if you're playing with friends, family, of course not Grandma, but other family. But yeah, Skippo, proud sponsor of today's show, and let's get into it. So our first guest on the show, professionally, he plies his trade as a part of the mechanical engineering group at WSP USA. He holds the record for the most awesome QB stat line in Cranberry Bowl history with 2 touchdown passes and 300 yards. He's consistently a marquee player that defenses have to game plan around. Our first guest is my associate, Timmy Cannon. Timmy, how you doing?
All right, Nate, thanks for having me.
Cool. So I guess before we really get into it, I've heard from sources that you've been pretty heavily preparing for this year's Cranberry Bowl, playing multiple sports, some of them not even, not well-known sports. I've heard that you play some Aussie rules footy. Run me through what a typical week is like and which sports you prefer over others, which ones you think prepare you more for the big game, the big dance this year, and yeah.
I gotta train because, as you know, last couple of years the season's gotten canceled and stuff like that. So, me, as I assume, along with a lot of other people, we're out of practice. So I've been trying to pick up my training this year. But Monday, is I'll wake up early, drive to a high rise, and then sit in a chair for 9.5 hours or so. And then after that, I'll head over to the soccer pitch, play a competitive soccer game, and then head over and play some pickup basketball. And I'm trying to work on the fitness part of my game right now, especially with those 2 sports. You can really work up your heart rate there. So I'm doing those on Monday. Most times on Tuesday, I'll take the day off because, I'm exhausted from the day before. Obviously, I do have the usual sit in a chair for about 9.5 hours in the middle of the day. But not much training on Tuesday. And then on Wednesdays,
So let me stop you real quick.
Yeah.
I guess on Monday, back to Monday, so you said you have soccer first and then basketball. I guess, those train different parts of your game, right? Obviously, soccer is going to be more fitness and probably balance and coordination, and basketball is going to be, the old hand-eye, which is important in the Cranberry Bowl. So how do you feel that those 2 prepare you? Like, what is it that you're working on in your game through those sports?
Well, you pretty much said it right there. Soccer is great for fitness, balance, strength, moving back and forth, lateral movement on the legs, and basketball too. A lot of kind of the quick movements and hand-eye. It's good for working on getting up, going for the ball, things like rebounds and stuff like that. But I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head, as they say. Okay.
So interesting, seems like an interesting recovery strategy to sit in a chair for 9.5 hours. What's your strategy there?
Not much strategy, to be honest with you. Definitely not a whole lot of thinking has gone into that. It's might not be the smartest thing to do, but it's I like being able to get up and move around after sitting in the chair for several hours a day. It's a pretty quick transition. A lot of times, with a lot of different things, you want to make a slower, smoother transition. But, I just like to get up, get out of the chair, move around, and potentially even see, one or two of the 5 friends I have here in town. So.
Okay, cool. Okay, so anyway, you were saying Tuesday, you take the day off after of course, your recovery session, sitting in the chair. So walk me through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then even the weekend. I think I've heard that sometimes you have competitions.
Right. So on Wednesday, you got the usual 9.5 hours in the chair. Good training there. And after that, it's been tough with the work schedule, but I usually go to, as you mentioned, the Aussie rules practice after that. We got training for that and Wednesday evenings. But actually, so this week I wasn't able to go, unfortunately. That's always a great workout. I was disappointed. We had a little bit of a work function after work. And it was funny because, we went to go get a few drinks across the street. And we were pretty much the only ones in there, but there's this one other guy. He looked maybe in his 60s or 70s. And we were all talking about, fantasy football and stuff, the usual shooting the breeze with a couple of the fellas, how it goes. But at one point, the guy comes over to us, and I thought I heard the old man say, "Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her." So yeah, I missed practice on Wednesday because of that. But usually I try to go, and that's normally a good workout, usually pretty short because I get there late due to work. And then Thursday and Friday, up in the air. A lot of times I'll take those days off, especially when we have Aussie rules competitions on the weekend. So we got a couple of those. A couple times a month we'll play against teams such as Dallas, North Texas, Austin, and Baton Rouge. We also have played against a team from Oklahoma. So, I'll play those games, and that'll definitely take it out of me until the next week starts, and we start off with soccer and basketball again on Monday.
Yeah. So recently, you had a game again, or I guess it was really a tournament, but one of the games in the tournament was against Austin. Do I have that right?
Yeah. Yep. Can confirm.
So tell me, in the Austin game, you said you scored, right?
Of course, yeah. And I'd also, I don't want to pump my tires or anything, but this is the premier Australian rules football league in the United States. So, this isn't Charlie's Chocolate Factory.
Not only is it the Premier League, but it's also the premier team as far as if my sources have it right. Is that right?
Yep, Austin is they're a cut above the rest. So I was happy to bag my first one in that game.
I can tell you this much, Timmy. If you currently have the most awesome QB stat line in Cranberry Bowl history, as I already said, with 2 touchdown passes and 300 yards. But I can tell you what, if you're scoring in some Aussie rules footy, what is it called, a try? I know in rugby it's called a try. Is that what are goals called in footy?
They're called goals. So you can score a goal or you can score a behind. A goal is worth 6 points and a behind is worth 1.
Okay. And what is the difference? How do you both of them involve kicking it through goalposts, correct?
Yeah. So on both sides of the field, there's 4 vertical posts. And if you kick it between the middle 2, then you get a goal. And if you kick it between one of the middle ones and one of the outside ones, then that's a behind.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. The 2 outside posts are definitely, behind you. So yeah, I guess the term behind makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, in a sense, they're definitely behind the goalposts, even though they actually are in a line with them. So actually, technically, the behind posts are a little bit in front of the goalposts because it's played on an oval-shaped field. But okay, well, it's certainly behind something. I think we can say that with certainty.
Behind something. Yep. We can
Yeah.
we can agree on that.
Okay, so I wanted to run real quick. There's been 17 players so far that have declared for the 2021 Cranberry Bowl draft, and I just wanted to run through those with you. So I think what we'll do is we'll probably go family by family who's declared, and then we'll just break down the people who have declared so far, and we'll just run through these real quick, and then I'll let you be on your way. So first family that we'll talk about here is the Nicks, right? We've got Paul, Evelyn, and Aunt Julie are the only 3 Nicks that have declared so far for the draft. There still is time, but so far those are the only 3. Of those 3, who do you think is going to be, maybe a first-time marquee player, or maybe consistently stepping up to the plate? What's your read on that?
I think this is going to be an exciting family to watch, honestly. Paul is he's at the motherland, so to speak, LSU. So I think he's gonna flourish there. I think he's going to have a lot of chances to something new. He didn't go there before, so I think he's going to be able to add a new dynamic to his game. Evelyn, always exciting to watch, and Aunt Julie. I mean, they've always been good. I'm looking forward to seeing how Paul does. And Aunt Julie, I can't remember, I think a few years back. No, actually, I think it was Lori. I was going to say I thought Aunt Julie might have gotten flattened in one of the games, but I think it was an inadvertent contact on Lori. So never mind on that. But I think they're all going to be exciting, but I'm really looking forward to seeing Paul.
Okay, now I do apologize. Lori has also declared for the draft. I must have missed that the first time. So we got 18 players. Lori is also someone who has already declared for the draft. What do you think? I know Lori, she's been a mainstay for a while. She's consistently been a top performer in the premier competition of American football in the land. Do you think she's still got it in her? I know she's been in Baton Rouge for a little while and not in school. Well, she is in school, not at LSU. She's a teacher.
Yeah, she's back in middle school. So
right,
3 steps forward, a couple steps back. Right.
That's exactly right. So that's, I wonder. Does that bode well or poorly, or how do you think that'll affect her? Her prospects at the Cranberry Bowl this year?
I think she's still going to be a strong player. She always has been. Now, there is always the concern of, she was practicing against better competition when she was in college versus now in middle school. But I think she'll still be a good player. I think she'll still be a factor in the game. She definitely won't be an afterthought, so to speak. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay, so moving on to the Hoffpowers. So far, all we've got is Matt, Will, and Karen who have declared for the draft. I know Peter was saying, he wasn't sure what his status was going to be, so he wasn't quite ready to declare for the draft. But he was saying, it's very likely that he will be at Thanksgiving, so I imagine we may see Peter a little bit in the future as well. But from Matt, Will, and Karen, who do you think may step up this year and really perform?
I think Karen's got a good chance. Like the last couple of years, we haven't been able to play, and I think she's ready to step into her own here. I think the only direction to go is up for her, and I think she'll be a good player.
Yeah, Karen's, it's interesting because she's certainly grown in stature.
Exactly.
I know her hair has not grown. It's definitely gotten shorter, but she has grown in stature, and that's a big thing in the Cranberry Bowl. We need size. That's honestly, a lot of the way the teams are decided is based on height. So
also
Karen really. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I was going to say now. Shortening hair, it can oftentimes be a highly sought after feature. I know, as you probably know, the legendary coach, Uncle Kirk Graham, he always would have his players line up, and if their hair was it went below their helmet, he would take a pair of scissors and just chop it off. So
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I think Karen's going to be exciting to watch this year.
Indeed. Okay, so from the Cannon family, we've got 5 relatives who have declared, and 1 non-relative. We've got Nate, Timmy, Ellie, Ronnie, and Maggie, relatives, cousins, who have declared for the draft. And we also have Rachel Haydell, a non-relative, who has declared she is eligible to play, and she is fit and fire and ready to go. Who do you think from those 6 really might step it up this year, or have a good breakout year, or perhaps even not break a bone this year? I mean, talk about breakout years. Hopefully this year we'll see a few less breaking out.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it was a little bit more of a broken in situation that year, but I definitely agree. Hopefully we'll stay injury free. I think, from the Cannon family, I think everyone's got a decent shot to do well. I'm a little worried about Ronnie after having that injury. I just, I don't know if she'll be fully recovered or ready to go. So that'll definitely be something to watch.
It's got to take a mental toll, don't you think?
I would imagine so. I mean, it's never something you want to go through. I'm fortunate enough to not have had to go through that myself, but I'm sure there's definitely going to be some mental reservations there. But she might be able to power through it, and she could be fun to watch. Maggie, as always, she's playing sports every day. I think she'll be fit and ready to go. And as I recall, in the last Third and Out pregame show, there was a non-relative brought along, Rachel Bourgeois. So it is curious to me how, unless I'm getting that girl's name wrong, I think it's funny how the 2 non-relatives who have been on a Third and Out, who we've mentioned on Third and Out, have had the same name. So we'll see how that goes. I know there has been some disappointments in the past, but I've got higher hopes for Rachel Haydell.
Yeah, certainly. And to be honest, it's would be pretty hard to not exceed the expectations we have for someone named Rachel after the performance in 2015. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I'll say they probably can't get too much lower, although it actually has been brought to my attention relatively recently that old Rachel Bourgeois is actually married now. So
that's right. Her name is
she
White.
Had something going for her.
Yeah, her last name is White now. It's no longer the Boudin Queen Bourgeois.
Right, the Boudin Queen.
Yeah. Okay. Moving right along to the next family. This year we have. Oh, I guess before we move along, in the past, Uncle Eric has also taken part. Looks like he's taken a step back, perhaps even retiring this year. Shame to watch him go, but sometimes you got to consider what's best for you and your family, and he's put in his time. So really, all the best to him. We hope he has a good retirement, I guess I should say.
Yeah, definitely. We thank him for for what he's brought to the game, and so all the best to him.
Yeah. So speaking of people taking a step back, the next family we're going to talk about is the Albanos. Uncle John and Rebecca are the only 2 that have declared from Uncle John's Albanos. Caroline, who's played in the past and been a key feature, seems to not be wanting to declare just yet, at least. There still is time, but I wonder what's going on in her mind.
Yeah, I don't know. If she chooses not to play, that's her decision. But I'm just glad that we do have some Albanos playing, and we all know the legend of Uncle John. So I'm glad that we can still see looks like him and also Rebecca play. So I think that'll be fun. I think Rebecca can, if she's anything like her dad, she'll be a superstar. So it'll definitely be fun having Albanos in the game.
Yeah, I tell you what, she doesn't even have to be anything like her dad. Uncle John's not dropped a pass in, 50 years? So if Rebecca does half that good, if she can go the next 25 years without dropping a pass, that'll be really good for the game.
Yeah, exactly. And I know there's always that one play where did he drop it? Did he not? But we don't need to get into that one nitpicky detail with Uncle John.
Yeah, no quibbling necessary. I'll tell you that much. Okay, so next from the Grahams we have Patsy, Philip, and Kirk, who have little Kirk. That is John Kirkland Graham III, I think.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Who have declared. From those three, who do you think? I know a couple of years ago in the Mayflower Classic, we did have the debut of Marie, and also was Susie there? I don't really remember. I do remember Marie was there because she gave a very scintillating halftime interview. I gotta pull that up and watch that again, but I do know Marie was there. Looks like she hasn't declared yet this year. Who from those three do you think are ready to really make a mark on the game?
I think any one of them could be. Whenever you are, whenever you've got the legendary coach Uncle Kirk Graham, living under the same roof as a player, that they could. You never know what's going to happen. They can all be spectacular. I'm really not sure who I think is going to be the one to watch. If gun to my head, I guess I would probably say Kirk. Kirk going to well, as much as I hate to say it, Texas A&M. I'll try not to hold that against him for the time being, but going off to college. I think
that's a really big opportunity, to really grow your game. I know we talk about it all the time with, we talked about Paul earlier coming back to the motherland, LSU. But I really think that Kirk, could be someone who he's off at Texas A&M, and they got that's a big school. You got people from all over Texas, and Texas is known for its football, so I really do think that Kirk, really could be learning a thing or two and really have upped his game since the last time we've seen him.
Yeah, and sometimes a change of scenery can do wonders for a player. If you take Jacob Vrana from the Washington Capitals, he was a healthy scratch a couple games, gets traded to the Red Wings, and becomes the highest scoring player on the Red Wings. So all of you hockey fans out there, as I know you all are, you'll understand that situation. So I definitely think that Kirk has a lot of potential this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Kirk and all the Grahams. And I will say, even if Marie chooses not to declare for the draft, I'm really hoping that we'll get some reporting coverage from her, because that was it was choice, to say the least.
Absolutely, that is saying the least about that. That was one of the best interviews I've ever seen of a halftime. At halftime, talking about tactics, talking about what the other team needs to start doing, what the game situation is like. It really was enlightening to hear her talk about the game and the way she sees it. Okay, so we've gone through. Those are the 18 people that have declared for the draft. An interesting story. Normally, I guess you could say the co-commissioners, David Albano and his associate James Albano of Third and Out pregame show fame, they're typically the commissioners, the ones who really drive the game forward. They take a big part in deciding teams. It's an interesting situation in the Uncle Mike Albano family. It looks like they're holding out. I haven't been able to confirm, the details of what they're holding out for. They may be waiting for a better deal from, the overlords that be at the Cranberry Bowl. They may be waiting for some more TV money or something like that. I really don't know, but that's an interesting story. I really do hope that they get that settled, and we wind up seeing the Uncle Mike Albanos at the at the Cranberry Bowl. You know, they're always mainstays and big name fixtures, and you know what they do for the league is really something special. So I'm hoping to see them. Timmy, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not really sure what their holdout is for. I can only imagine it's more money. You know how those albanos can get, James and the like, and the whelp, should I say? But you know, I do hope that they'll swallow their pride a little bit, and even if they don't get the full deal they want, I hope they'll play. For selfish reasons, of course, because they're always a joy to have around the league. So, and I think they make the league better. I think they make the game better. So I'm hoping to see them. Like you said, I don't exactly know. I could be wrong about the holdout being for money. It could be something else, but I hope they get it sorted for sure. And I mean, if you want to talk about a marquee player, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch from the Albanos is Marky Mark is a marquee player, so to speak. So I'm really hoping that we'll be able to see him. And I know he's probably toughened up a bit over the last year. I know he's got some associates named, you know, something like Wolfpack and Moonshine. So I feel like hanging out with folks like that can probably only toughen you up. Sounds like a couple of cool fellas.
Yeah, you know, seems to really give an edge. You know, I feel like hanging around anyone with names like that, that can really give you a bit of an edge, you know, a bit of a tough demeanor, I guess, for in-game, you know. And, you know, a lot of the Cranberry Bowl is all about grit, you know, like we said. There's been some long games before, and people getting tired, field getting muddy, you know, rain, thunder, lightning striking on the field, trees going up in flames, you know, the whole 9 yards. And I know
we've seen it all.
One of the earliest rules ever spoken of the Cranberry Bowl was actually, it was spoken by Cousin Will Hoffpower, and he said, you know, if they bleed less than a pint, it's not a foul, you know. So I really think that Mark, by hanging around fellas like that, he can really bring that culture of toughness and grit back into the game.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really hoping to see him there.
Yeah. All right, Timmy. Well, I know you got a busy schedule. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Is there anything else that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about yet? I know I'll see you next time, but you know, until then, is there anything else?
Not that I can think of. I think we hit all the big points. So,
all right. Well, I guess with that, we'll see ya.
All right. Catch you on the flippity flip.